We're the first state to take legislative action to put these protections in place.
Governor Tim Walz and Minnesota Democrats are celebrating as the PRO Act becomes law. However, Republicans are speaking out, saying the legislation could cause harm, especially to minors in the state. Plus, the Minnesota House passes a bill allowing undocumented immigrants to obtain a driver's license. KIMT News 3's Sananda McCall will join us with more on the impact the legislation could have locally. Sarah.
The winter's icy grasp continues to hold us tight on this sunny Tuesday, but give it some time and warmer air will begin to settle in. I'll tell you when you can expect temperatures to go on the rise.
KIMT News 3 First at 4 starts right now.
KIMT News 3, coverage you can count on. This is KIMT News 3's First at 4.
Good afternoon and happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining us for KIMT News 3 First at 4. I'm Jessica Bringy. Today marked an important moment for the future of abortion access in Minnesota. This afternoon, Governor Tim Walz signed the Protect Reproductive Options, known as the PRO Act, into law. The law codifies a fundamental right to abortion access and reproductive care in the state. It also protects contraception, maternity care, family planning, and counseling, among other services. The PRO Act narrowly passed the Minnesota Senate on Saturday after lawmakers debated for more than 14 hours. This is a bill Democrats have been fast-tracking through the legislature as one of their top priorities this session. At the State House, more than 100 legislators, advocates, and healthcare providers attended this afternoon signing. In a speech, Walz says he believes the impacts of the law will be long-lasting.
So to Minnesotans, know that your access to reproductive health and your right to make your own healthcare decisions are preserved and protected. And because of this law, that won't change with the political winds or the makeup of the Supreme Court.
There are other related bills moving through the legislature which could repeal restrictions and protect patients and providers from out-of-state legal action. And sticking with the PRO Act, while Democrats across the state are celebrating, Republicans are continuing to share concerns over the legislation, calling it, quote, dangerous. Rochester Senator Carla Nelson says she's extremely disappointed her party's efforts to add in amendments were all ultimately rejected. Nelson tells me she believes allowing minors to access abortion services, along with more permanent sterilization procedures without having to get a parent or guardian's permission, is dangerous. She also says the threshold for abortions isn't clear under the bill, so hypothetically, an abortion could be performed at 30 weeks or more.
Only China and North Korea have such an extreme abortion policy, which allows abortion for any reason at any time. Doesn't matter how old the woman is, minors, for example. So it's quite concerning.
Now, Minnesota doesn't have any clinics performing abortions past 23 weeks, according to available guidelines. And according to the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, less than 20% of abortions occur after 21 weeks. As for minors seeking treatment, physicians say medical ethics would bar them from performing serious or permanent procedures without counseling, understanding the situation, and making sure it's in the best interest of the young girl. The Minnesota House passed a law allowing undocumented immigrants to obtain a driver's license. KIMT News 3's Sananda McCall joins us now. Sananda, this bill is about more than just being able to drive, according to Rochester rights advocates you spoke with, correct?
Right, Jess. It could be life-changing for some after immigration rights groups pushed nearly a decade to grant driver's licenses to undocumented immigrants. It looks like it's about to become a reality in Minnesota. I visited Divine Immigration in Rochester earlier today. They tell me it's more than just gaining driving privileges, but gaining a sense of community as well. And according to Minnesota law enforcement, it will actually make roads safer by preventing uninsured drivers from getting behind the wheel. Anna Adapaj, the owner of Divine Immigration, also spoke with us about how families will be impacted if the bill becomes law.
There are lots of families who are undocumented, but their children are U.S. citizens. So sometimes they have some activities in their children's school, and they do not have means to go.
She says having a driver's license may help immigrants get other legal documentation, Jess.
All right, thank you so much. The bill is now headed to the Senate for approval. And while it was a busy day at the state capitol, it was also a somber day for many lawmakers in the North Star State. David Durenberger, a former U.S. Senator from Minnesota, has died. Durenberger was a Republican who won a U.S. Senate seat in 1978 and served 3 terms. He was known for his progressive stances and championed health care reform. Durenberger's longtime spokesperson says his health had declined in recent months before he passed away this morning in his St. Paul home. He was 88. And today, many are remembering the impact of Durenberger's time in Congress, including Minnesota Senator, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar. In a statement released this morning, Klobuchar says, in part, quote, Senator Dave Durenberger was a true public servant. He was a dedicated legislator who was always guided by his devotion to bipartisanship and improving people's lives. And Senator Durenberger's Minnesotans had a thoughtful leader, a passionate advocate, and a true friend. We are lucky to have benefited from his good work and his good heart for so many years. All right, let's get to KIMT Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox. Sarah, it's just been a couple of really bitterly cold days.
It's been rough, yes. Some air from the north has definitely made its appearance, made itself known here, especially this morning, Jess. Some extremely cold temperatures, and even now, we're definitely not on the warm side, but we're warmer than where we were earlier in the day. 6 degrees, not too terrible, especially because we have so much of that sunshine. So sunglasses are needed, but so are hats, gloves, jackets, perhaps not winter boots. It's not actively snowing out there, but man, it is cold. So there's the 6 in Rochester, a couple of 9s, Albert Lee, Austin, Mason City, Charles City, even the Twin Cities at 9. Mankato into the double digits, currently sitting at 13 degrees. I don't have to tell you, but these temps are well below the norm. When you factor in the winds, that's where you get these nasty wind chills, which are still sub-zero and will remain as such, at least for the next stretch. When it comes to the next 7 hours, you can see that we'll be staying under the 0 mark when it comes to these wind chills. Temperatures will be staying above 0 for a little bit. We will fall a little below that as we get into tomorrow morning, but then the temperatures start to go up, at least for a brief moment. After that, another cool down, another warm up. Oh yes, we've got some things to talk about when it comes to these temperatures, and we will do just that coming up a little later. So Jess, it's back to you.
A former Rochester Fire Department administrator is suing the city for age discrimination. Curtis Pronk used to be the department's administrative services manager until the summer of 2021, when he claims he was told his duties would change and his pay was reduced without warning. And he says he was pressured to retire early in August of that same year after turning 60 years old. In December, he filed a federal lawsuit over it and is seeking at least $75,000 in damages. With the latest round of winter chill, many of us will be taking our outdoor exercise routines indoors. But if you're still looking to take on area trails, we have reminders for staying safe on your next run. And later, as we use more energy to heat our homes this winter, some area energy companies are feeling the strain. How local utility providers determine when to issue peak energy alerts. Plus, more vigils are held as communities across the country continue to mourn the death of Tyree Nichols. What we're learning about the investigation ahead of his funeral on Wednesday.
KIMT News 3, first at 4, the area's most watched afternoon news. Your local news with KIMT News 3's Jessica Bringy. Tracking storms with Storm Team 3 meteorologist Sarah Knox. This is KIMT News 3, more local news that is happening right now. We are coverage you can count on.